Welcome. Thank you for your patience. I was having some sign-in issues with Zoom, which is awesome because they're like, verify yourself. Um, but yeah, it took a little minute. So thank you. And first off, I wanted to start by, for both of you, congratulating you both because you've taken some really big
Mhm.
leaps. And I don't think that it was a coincidence that it's happening during this container or that it's happening, both of you, without even knowing the timing of it. But Lindsay, congratulations, you are officially like fully in your own practice.
Yeah, first week.
Congrats.
Right?
Yeah.
It's huge. That's so huge. And I think it's so appropriate for um as a six and the stage that you're in. And yeah, so I want to definitely like hear a little bit more, but then also Kristen, you launched.
Hmm.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, but the Instagram was a really big like how so would want to hear from both of you how you're feeling, but like yeah, congrats, you faced some things and actually like are on the other side of that. And now it's just a matter of like finding that rhythm and momentum of creating while you're moving.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm actually going to share a post about this, but originally I had joined a 7-day posting challenge that just happened to coincide. And I was on day 3 of figuring out what to post, and I realized I was working against my energy. I was so exhausted, not from the creation of the content, but just because life is so full. Like I'm not sleeping, there's not a lot of time to rest. And I was forcing myself to do it to like prove to myself and, blah, blah, blah. So I actually am going to do like a little video post about that, how like in my human design experiment, like it is an experiment and this is what came up, and then share some tips for projectors. So yeah, I think it was good because it I did get 2 days out of it, and I'm more so happy that I connected with my design and I can share that authentically versus like trying to just come up with something to share.
Absolutely. And before you know it, the momentum of just like doing that and just getting out of and getting all the excuses possible out of the way continues to like keep you keeping up. Just so interesting, but you got to get there first, you know? And like at first there might be these roadblocks of like what might be called like the writer's block or something, like the white page, the first post, you know what I mean? It's like so, but I gotta say your engagement and the follows within like your first posts are amazing. Like they're mind blowing. So I started a new Instagram with our collective, and it's taken us like a month to get to 31 people. And that was after we announced it to a group that we're also within, and got their
Mhm.
support. So like for you to have gotten such traction organically is awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think also potentially including the projector energy and maybe at some point the emotional like authority of like, or just even the permission slip of like, I'm going to do it my way. Like, cool, challenges are cool. It kind of got me going, but in it, like I was able to pivot and, it's fabulous. Yeah. Um, yeah. So then like your next steps is continuing to post and then get your booking button up, right?
Mhm.
At some point, your website. The website. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think probably the priority will just be getting that booking page
Yeah.
up and just have people can direct there. And then as I populate my Instagram, there will be like about me and more information there. So
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so Lindsay, and for you, have you thought about the lead magnet thing, or now that you're fully in your practice, do you find that like you have enough from like word of mouth or however you've been able to generate people coming in? Like, do you feel satiated, or is that something that you do want to like connect deeper with your community, build that a little bit more?
I feel like that's such a loaded question.
Is it oh, okay? We don't have to go there if you don't want to.
No, I just like there's so many pieces to it at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just let that be. Yeah, for sure. But you did it though. That those are really big leaps, and it's really fascinating to me because you really did that like a couple days before Kristen did. I'm like, is there something cosmically happening too that like is initiating these bold moves? Even though for you, Lindsay, you've initiated this like probably months or years ago, but now it's like actually happening, right? So yeah. But you announced
Yeah.
it on your social and you're swimming in
Yeah.
completely new water. So it's like, mm,
Yeah.
yeah, probably taking the pressure off will be very helpful for you. Of like, because it might feel daunting of how much there is to do and check all the boxes. And so I think landing in this new reality, even though it feels like very counterintuitive, kind of like what Kristen just shared, it's like I've joined this like thing, like I want to stay committed, that willpower of our egos, and all of us, our egos are like undefined, uncolored, right? So it's like, where is that conditioning coming from? Like, what am I trying to prove and to who? And can I just be in my own process with this? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so congratulations, because that's huge though. So, and one more question though, Lindsay. You know how you said that you got the those little cards with your name without the website first? Does this
Mhm.
feel in a similar way like that? Like you're kind of leaping without having other things kind of like in place, but you know that this is something that you're doing and you're moving in that direction?
Like stepping out on my own.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's one of those things like I actually started like I started working on my own in January, but I was finding like it was really hard to gain traction there when I had like a different practice and like so yeah. I mean, I've known this is coming, but it felt like a big step last week and to step fully into it. And part of the goal with going out fully on my own is like, I don't know, permission was the word there. I don't know that it's permission, but it feels more accessible to like branch out or like widen my like umbrella. I felt like I couldn't do that when I was under someone else's, right? Like, but now I don't know what this looks like. I don't know how human design comes into this. I don't know how like my breath work comes into this. There's so many like pieces that I I don't have it all figured out, but I'm just seeing where it lands. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. So it's not that you're licensed, that you wanted to potentially like keep human design separate, but it was under working under somebody's umbrella and getting those clientele.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Like I'm
Okay.
still not fully sure how it works, but I'm feeling more I don't know, I'm feeling like a little bit more excited. I I don't know what it looks like. And I'm not an expert in human design by any means, but this has been an interesting experience for me. I'm also preparing for the fact that like this is really hard, these practice sessions for me. And I'm like, I know that I have to do this, and I also don't feel like well prepared for it. But I've just been noticing, like it's been interesting for me to really notice how when I can take the pressure off and just like connect with what feels true for me, like just what I get curious about. And also, like, it's interesting because I think I've said to you, like, I have used human design in sessions with clients. Like, nobody monitors what I do in the room, I guess. Like, ultimately, I do it with clients that I think will be open and like curious. Um, But even today, I had a session that I felt so like human design heavy, like lens in terms of it. And I'm like, I don't claim to be an expert, but I can feel it in those moments. And I like, but it is more about the conversation. Like it's more about the to and fro for me. Like I don't like I think that's what I said to you. I was like, I don't know. I don't know that I can do like readings. I don't even know if that appeals to me because I don't feel like I could just sit and be like, blah, 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 here's all the information. Because that's not me. And then I feel like that's where I get overwhelmed with like preparing for the practice things. I'm like writing all kinds of notes for myself and revisiting things. And then I have things like everywhere, like literally everywhere. Like it doesn't even make any sense. And I was like sitting here beforehand going, how do I like condense this so that I have like a structure so that I actually feel okay in this rather than like feeling like I'm scrambling. I didn't really get there, but that's
All of like
my
landing. Um,
so I'm
yeah,
yeah.
we'll see how it goes. And you're gonna go first today. So if that like gives you a little bit of a
Well, I knew that. I was preparing for that. So I was like, okay, this is anyway.
amazing. So that's really cool though, because you could actually have it then as an add-on. And I don't even think that you need a separate Jane app thing anymore. Like I thought that you would need to. And you could probably have that as like a description of like modalities that you like infuse or weave in when you feel called to. And then maybe there are in the intake form, maybe some people that are like maybe want to have a more human design heavy discussion with you. It's not even coaching, but it is like therapy, but like then there's this lens that like sometimes, like you said, I know that when you've used it with people in the past, it's because you're like, man, there's something about their chart. I have a feeling that would bring this awareness bit to it and take so much pressure off this person then. And it's helped, right? Um, yeah. It's interesting though, because as a 5-1, I've definitely led heavy with information. And I think people found me for those reasons. But it sounds like both of you are more into that like coaching, like, you know what I mean? I think Kristen, your strength is very much like the very practical. You're like, here's this list. I'm going to respond back to the stuff in the Telegram, but it's just like, I just love it. Like, just like this, like processed, um, like yes, very grounded and very practical. And I feel like that's also, I think that that's might be like that like 2-4 naturalness slash like projectorness of you. And then Lindsay, for you with your practice, what you're bringing to the table and your gift is this alchemization of like your lived experience, the breath work, and now human design in your practice. Like literally as a manifesting generator, we're here to do that. And we're not here to know how that will looks like in our minds because we haven't created that hasn't been that no one's created that yet before. You know what I mean? Like a psychological lens that utilizes um, the human design energetics with potentially like support of breath to transform patterns versus just only talking about it, right? Like that's deep. Yeah. So that's really cool. And it makes sense. So you're like, I don't know where I'm headed. Well, yeah, because this is uncharted completely. And yet, manifesting generators with the guidance of projectors and your own strategy and authority, we're really here to create and like bridge the modalities. And there's more East and West stuff bridging already in practices. Like we take our dogs, I mean, in California, it's a little bit maybe like that, but it's an East and West veteran vet. And so they utilize multiple things, so it's like it's happening. um but I love that. Yeah. So anyway, so I wanted to congratulate. We're going to move on because of time and stuff, but I definitely big congrats. Those are like big things are happening, and I think it's so actually appropriate with 2025 as well. So so I think, Lindsay, for you, you're going to continue potentially sitting in it and see how it, navigating through it, like how that lands. And I think, Kristen, so much like for your personality, it's like you have an actionable, you know what I mean? Like the booking thing and then posting. Um, yeah, okay, awesome. Because I think, Lindsay, for you, posting and stuff will continue to like come easier when you have like once you're more and more ready to come off the roof as a 6, which doesn't really fully complete until a little bit later, even though right now you're still very much like in that alchemy space. I think it's going to start to like solidify for you. Yeah. And then we'll stay in touch until, because I know we have a couple more sessions, but we'll stay in touch in Telegram. So like we'll be there talking. Um, you have that support there too. And so if you want to be on my website too, Lindsay, as a recommended, then you could just have it explicitly say that you're like a 4-6 and you're here for the conversational, like, you know what I mean? That lens potentially, like a psychological human design coaching lens thing, okay. All right, let's move on. Um, I'm going to share the screen I'm just so excited. It's just so cool that it's the timing of it. I'm going to share the screen of the charts. I don't know if I have to log in or not. Maybe not. Um, so this is Alexandria. Which one did you have, Lindsay? Which one did you want to do first? Do you have a preference?
No.
Um, so let's start with the first one.
Okay. Which was the first one? Dax,
What was it, Dax?
I think. Was that the first one? I don't know.
It's okay,
Give
we
it
could go with Dex, yeah. The only other
um
thing I wanted to add about incarnation crosses is that there's something interesting when they actually create a channel. It's a little bit more advanced, but not all incarnation pairings will create channels, but sometimes they do. And then it's just a little extra added like um, attention to it, and sometimes knowing the channel definition or like the channel name, it helps with like because it's a combined energy of the two gates. And so like then it's just more emphasis on that if they ever create a channel, because sometimes they do. Um, okay, but all right, Lindsay, I'm gonna take some
and
notes.
I should have I should have anyway.
No, go ahead.
I'm jumping in. I should have reached out because I was like, we're focusing on the incarnation cross, right? Like, so where I'm not like having, obviously I'm going to touch on like um energy type, strategy, and authority and things. But that's not the focus of what I'm doing in this practice session, right?
It's more about having the play and the practice of like thinking about the numbers and how if you when you
Yeah.
do look at the one like what that might say, and then looking at all four, and then looking at the big sun, and then the sun being the most, the 70% of like what imprints into us and what we're here to shine, but then according to the gene keys the purpose being the 54 earth, and like just the understanding of those. And maybe sometimes, but no pressure, like either, because these aren't things that are going to be isolated in a reading ever. But if someone is looking for direction, and at first all I did was just focus on the personality sun. I didn't even go to incarnation cross like fully, and some of the names are just so confusing too. And there's 192. It's hard. I don't even know if anybody has them memorized, you know? So you could definitely look that stuff up ahead of time. The other thing is just really focusing and knowing each gate, at least having little notes about it, and then depending on how much time you have allowed left to dive
Yeah.
into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, for
That's
this
what I
purpose is just the number.
that's what I focused on for the yeah.
Okay,
But
awesome.
yeah. Well, and just supporting myself. But yeah. Um, sorry. I like land for a minute.
Mm.
Yeah. I think the really interesting piece here, like where it's so exciting, um, is reading for someone who is like 9, right? Like I would assume reading to a parent of this child, but um, it feels really exciting in that sense, especially in light of, this life theme and the like what's coming up here, because it feels like, this is such an exciting time. And I know that, Rao, who originally downloaded Human Design, has been quoted as saying human design is for the children, right? Like this is about stepping into how do we support children to really, or the next generation to really be who they're meant to be without, our expectations and beliefs kind of coming in. And this feels so true in this instance because, I think one thing that really stands out for me is that Dax's strongest gift really is his intuition,
Mhm.
to be able to, step into any space and really feel into what feels true for him in that moment. And where that can feel so challenging, I think, is that doesn't always make sense, right? And this is where you as a parent can really shape his world in such a way to be able to, you know, honor that gift, honor that capacity, honor that intuitive insight to really, without needing him to necessarily explain it, right? That's how he's going to build his trust in that and really deepen his knowing. And that can feel really challenging as a parent. I get that. So, but knowing that that's true for him, just noticing it. Where do you see it come up in life for him? Where might there already be that sense? And I think, in some ways, what does come up for me in that too is recognizing that it is about being in the moment for him. It's being in his full attention on this moment in time without necessarily getting caught in all the like what ifs or what that might look like. And that's where you may start to see that he struggles with this gift. Especially, sorry, I got myself a little bit. Okay, all good. I've regrounded. Especially with the 57 being in that spleen center, and I'm sorry, now I'm going off script, not off script. I know I don't have a lot of time, so I don't necessarily want to go into all the spleen and center stuff. So I will just earmark that. That's something I would come back to just around how maybe exploring the difference between fear and intuition and how that might show up and what to kind of look out for in that sense. And now I've got myself lost. Yeah. But in light of that, really, okay, yes, I know where I was going. Sorry. Yeah, but also recognizing how that can be a challenge because sometimes it is about him being in the moment, and that as a parent can feel difficult, right? And not that if you can start to trust that all he ever needs is to know that next move, and that's going to take him exactly where he needs to be. And it can feel frustrating at times because this gift can also really show up in that way of maybe almost feeling like selective hearing. Like, is he actually listening? Does he hear what you're saying? Is he taking it in? And so supporting and finding your own ways around that. And I think it also ties back into blah, blah, like as we've discussed, his emotional authority, right? And really supporting in giving time and space to connect with what is his body telling him, but also does that continue to feel true over time, right? And that's going to be the biggest thing if you can keep supporting him to come back and connect into that. Yeah, so we look at the personality side, right? We have that 57, his strongest gift. That is going to be like that's that deep intuition. That's going to be such a big part for him. And then we look at that 51, which is really about, being here to kind of shake things up, right? So, he does have the capacity to really provoke people, to make an impact, whether he intends to or not, right? Part of his design is to really be here to get people out of this narrow view that they have of their life. And that can feel really challenging, right? Especially as a parent, where you are going to be probably one of his most consistent relationships, to feel that kind of coming through all the time. And so if you can support yourself in not taking that on board as like a personal attack necessarily, but also supporting him and getting clear, again, connecting to the strategy and authority, as we discussed, right? About what is his heart, or what is his heart telling him? What is his true calling in that, right? Because if he can be authentic and aligned with that, then it's only going to open things up, right? Um, this one, as much as it can feel challenging at times, or right, it's ultimately about love, right? And love for life, and really bringing that to himself, but to everyone else in that way. Um, and I just was really interested to see, you know, these might be areas in his life where he really does feel really grounded in this, right? Like this is on the personality side more about how he sees himself. And both of those gifts are in defined centers, right? Where he will have a consistent energy flow and energy source within that as well. Um, yeah, sorry. I think that's part of it, right? Is just checking in that, sometimes that shaker upper, sometimes that energy can come off as being really willful or bossy, right? Especially, when we come from a perspective of, you know, being the parent or being the authority. And so that can feel really challenging. And just really, again, connecting back into he's going to have the energy to back up what he's trying to do, but is he doing it for the right reasons? And that's going to be where you can really guide that in supporting him to connect with what are the right reasons for him, right? Um, yeah. So on the more kind of unconscious side, so these maybe more of what you see in Dax actually, rather than what he sees in himself so much, is that the 53, which is really like the starter upper, like he can initiate, he can make things happen. And I'm just interested because what we know is that sometimes that tends to pass through on the father side. And I wonder if there's anyone in your family or in your husband's family that really um, showcases that energy. If you can kind of reflect on that and maybe notice any similarities. And that might give you some insights into how to best support Dax going forward with that as well. Um, ultimately, it's um, about laying those really good foundations to be able to create really important shifts. And I think sometimes the risk with that, and also with this gift being in his undefined root, is potentially the pressure he might feel to move on to the next thing, or to kind of, start something new, or um, yeah, I think sometimes it is helpful to recognize that, he can also bring that excitement from within him. And can you support him to connect back into his strategy and authority so that he knows what feels true for him, what, what he has the energy for, but also what feels aligned to even begin, what feels good for him. Um, and sometimes it's that reminder that, although he may have some amazing projects in his life, his biggest accomplishment is going to be himself, right? And how he shows up in the world. Um, yeah. So really quickly, I know we're running out of time and it's a lot of information. But the last gift that I wanted just to touch on is that 54, which is really the love of accomplishment. I also, that it really is the focus of wanting to like strive, um, sorry, love of achievement, like that ultimately it's the climb that is what motivates and drives it. But it can, sometimes if we're not operating from the best space within that, it can look like we just need to keep pushing and keep doing, right? And fighting to achieve. And so, especially where that is, again, in an undefined center where he might really feel some pressure for that. It is about, supporting him to really come back to what feels true and aligned for him. And noticing ultimately this dance between what he puts in and what he gets out of these creations. It's actually not the end result, but more the steps towards that are going to really fill him up and give him the energy to keep going with that. And I just wonder if that also is something that you notice in anyone within your own family, or your partner's family, and whether you can kind of connect that to him as well. I feel like I have so much more. I'm so aware of time. So I feel like we need to stop, but yeah.
So yeah, that's like the biggest thing that I would say is just notice how much by just doing however much research you did into all these gates, like how much you were able to like just right. You can talk about it for a long time, Lindsay. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm understanding and seeing how challenging it can be to separate these things because it all does flow. It might be a little bit maybe easier for Kristen because I think her mind just works in her genius way that way. But I think for you, you're like wanting to combine and like alchemize and talk about all of it. And we'll hear from Kristen soon, but just recognizing that is your open ajna, that is your all of this information now that you're holding in your mind. Chat, let's see, what did she say? Just moving locations. Okay. Now that you're like inputting this information in, how much flow, and I love that it was just so it felt so easy. You're like, I have information about this flame, and here I want you wanted to go off on this tangent and share about it, right? But that's how naturally a reading would flow, though, you know. So I wonder, Lindsay, if you were to add this add-on as human design, whether it's a stand like add this on, and it could be an additional cost where you do maybe add like however more minutes to a session, or maybe it's already interwoven with it. Or if you potentially, when you take on clients and if they do give you their birth information, you just start doing it. So at the very beginning, all I did was I had the person's name, I had their emotional wave, which emotional wave they had, just so I knew. And then I had their top 4 gifts and channels, just as little tidbit points, just so I could like reference to it if I needed to. But obviously there's enough to share about the like the not the gates, but like the centers and stuff like that. So even as a refresher, and then before you know it, now that you've done a deeper dive into these 4 gifts, they're like not even solidified in your mind, but now like you might notice them more if they pop out. And some gifts for me pop out more, and I just have like an easy reference point back to it. You know what I mean? So it's like one way that this happens. But yeah, the timing is in terms of the time with us today, I think what we'll do is we'll do one reading each. And then we'll take the charts that we had and you did the incarnation crosses for, and then I'll give you 2 more, just we'll see with timing, and we could do those for like the other practice round. And then we could incorporate the centers. Man, I kind of wish that we could incorporate all of it. Maybe we'll do one with just the centers and one where you incorporate all aspects just to see. But I just wanted to celebrate that too, Lindsay, just saying like, I don't know how much you did say that you took a lot of notes, right? Because it's like that's like the first like thing that you have to do is to do that with any kind of reading, because you're still learning in a lot of ways. And I still have my cheat sheets with me that I take when I go in person, you know. I don't have to use them as much anymore, but that's just how it goes. And so like you have your little, or when you do have your readings, maybe you do have a little cheat sheet and you just have it in there. So like all of a sudden one of the gates or something pops up in their incarnation cross or just whatever, and you don't have it memorized. But once you start to like say them more often, So that was amazing. I totally out of context, but like Dex, I didn't know that he was a little one, but I love that you went there. I love that you look at the age. You spoke to the parent and how to support, and you kept coming back to strategy and authority. And really, that is really the crux of like how we can best support somebody else. But the through line that came through was strong-willed kid. And so how cool to have that insight for yourself as a 9-year old, but then for the parent to know that. And it's like, how can I like then not take your stuff personally? You're not doing this again. Like you're not making my life harder. This is actually how you're designed. And that's the cool thing for me as a manifesting generator. Sometimes engaging with the information while I'm doing readings so I don't prepare for them anymore. But when I used to prepare, there would be like a through line. And then all of a sudden, like I might not remember the specific incarnation cross or specific combination of this or that or whatever, but like I have a sense of like a 57, 51 now. I'm like, oh, a strong-willed little thing or big thing. And it's like, then it helps, you know what I mean? Like, but then also the biggest accomplishment will be himself. And isn't that true for like just purpose in general, right? But when we talk about purpose, you could talk about it through the lens of your energy type, like the generator, um, emotional. Yeah, so that's we'll talk about that when we're combining everything. But I applaud you for doing this because I know how hard it is to just like,
It was
separate.
hard to like keep just one like focus too, I find, because I do think that's true for me where I'm like, it does feel more like conversational in my like, um, in when I've used it, right? Like that it's almost like I can hear the theme and I'm like, oh, I just think there must be an element of that. I'd love to see your chart. And when I have, I've been like, oh, so this makes sense to me in this way. What's that like for you? Right. Um, and I felt that a lot in doing the other chart too. So like, I don't know, maybe you want us to like just even try voice noting a little bit or like whatever, giving some of it in Telegram if we're not going to go there because I know time wise, but
Yeah, I want to respect the time. We'll go to like at 20 after because I jumped in a little bit later. I had that issue, but still just want to give enough for Kristen and stuff. But that's a great idea, Lindsay. I would love to hear that in Telegram. And maybe that's what we'll just do. You could just free flow. And instead of feeling like you just only have to focus on this, just let yourself see where you go off on little tangents. Because it is cool how the information, it's really interesting, but you're looking and engaging with the chart. And I just think it's so fascinating to have the information be pulled out of you like that, you know? And I have a like I know that that happens really easily for people that have a one in their profile because they have this information and now it's like what is here? Manifesting generators too. It's like they have this like arsenal of stuff, but it's like how do we there's different things that help us like then pull things out that we need and alchemize. But I know twos do that too. And it's that like naturalness that comes through for twos. I only my only reference with the two working closely was Jenna. Could we also share a second one by what? Yeah, both of you said the same thing. Perfect. Yes, that's great. Let's do that there. But I love what you're getting to too, Lindsay. Like if there is a through line, if there is like a theme that you're noticing with engaging with the chart, then share
I
that
saw
too.
it so much with my other one because
Really?
anyway, I'll comment on it in my
Okay,
notes in
awesome.
my
Yeah, so just
yeah.
give us the name. So, or if you do have a picture of it, or you maybe take a picture of it and then you do your voice note, so we could have that reference right there for both Kristen and I. That'll be awesome. And it is interesting because there's so many things that I want to just add to that, but I think you covered it beautifully. And yeah, but it's so much more flowy with the chart and in person too. And then the questions that they're asking, the support that they're seeking. So it is very, but there have been people where I just read for them and it was like, okay, well, we have 5 more minutes. Do you have any questions? And they're like, I'm like, okay, well, then I could just maybe say more than this, or you know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting. But I love that if you explicitly would say that like this is a part of um, something, then yeah, I wonder. All right, Kristen, let's jump to you. Let's see. I might have to log in. Yeah. I thought I was logged out. And then do you have a preferred person that you want to go with now and then voice note later or
Um, so I'm gonna do the one that I'm actually less prepared for in a way. So it was Rochelle. Rochelle.
ROC. Oh, there you go.
The second one was also it would have been almost 3-year-old. So I just
Oh,
pretended that they were an adult. I didn't do the parenting route.
I know Lindsay just went there. I was so like
Mm.
I didn't check the dates either, but I love that you did that because but that just shows your gifting too, Lindsay. You know, you had such a way of being able to support the parents, support their kiddos. Like that's awesome. Like that's awesome.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through. I have like a little spiel I would give, and I mimic this off of what you had sent in the chat when you had sent us like your breakdown of your incarnation cross.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through each of the gates and then I'm just going to tie it all together. Alrighty, so we're going to take a closer look at your incarnation cross. This offers a deeper look into your life theme, your story, and your purpose. While it doesn't explicitly tell you what exactly your purpose is and what exactly you're here to do, it does indicate the themes and the gifts that are unique to you and that play a major role in helping you bring your life's essence to fruition. So, in short, when you're tapped into and living in alignment with these 4 gates, especially your sun gate, it will lead you to figuring out what your purpose is. So there are 4 gates that make up an incarnation cross, and they are the sun and earth personality and design gates. If you're curious about what that means or how we determine it, these are the top 2 gates on either side of the body graph listed on the left and the right. So your personality sun gate makes up 70% of your personality. It's who you are. And this is the main gift and flavor that will be a constant throughout your life and will be expressed through all of the other gates that you have. So your incarnation cross is the right angle cross of service. And naturally, that's going to mean very little. So we're going to look at the specific gates to gain a better understanding of what this means. So gate 18 is your personality sun gate. So this is your strongest, most influential gate in your chart. It is found in your defined spleen center, which, as we've talked about, is connected to safety and health and being alive and intuition. And it's actually part of one of your channels, meaning you have constant access to this energy. It's also a conscious gate, so it's found on your personality side, meaning you're more likely to identify with this energy. And I'm curious to hear if that feels true for you as we dive in. So, gate 18 is the gate of questioning authority or correction. It's an intuitive ability to tell who and what is in their integrity and who is not. You don't care about job titles or positions. When this gate is functioning in its highest expression, you see everyone as equal, and you really only care if people are being good humans and acting in alignment with their values. You have naturally high standards of conduct, and you're here to hold everyone up to that. You see how things can be improved and what people can do to improve, and this is where the correction comes in. And this gift is so necessary. We need people to be able to see these things, but it's also very important that how this is communicated is done so in a loving way. So you're here to find a way of using what you see to truly help people and serve the whole. So it's not about judging people and their flaws, but it's about seeing them with compassion and helping them understand where maybe they are not living up to their potential, where maybe they have another level to unlock. So it's really about, for you, you'll find success when you're able to shift the perspective of what a flaw is and see it as an opportunity to create even more light and find a way to help tweak what needs to be tweaked in a loving way that serves everyone. So gate 17 is the next gate we're going to look at, and this is located in your undefined Ajna center, which, as we know, is associated with conceptualizing, thinking, and processing information. Because it's an undefined center, you don't have constant access to this energy, but as the gate is conscious, meaning it's located again on your personality side, you also may be more aware and in tune with this energy when it does become available for you. Gate 17 is the gate of opinions, or a fair methodical mind. And it's often referred to as a scientist mind because the way you understand life is very fair and methodical. So you don't just make up what you want to be true, but instead you look at all the evidence, all the facts, and you form opinions from there. So whatever subject interests you, and as an MG, there'll likely be many, It's good practice to approach it without any predispositions or ideas and just remain open and allow the truth to show itself to you through your process. So remember, it's curiosity over certainty. Be a forever student. Lean into the beauty of your ideas and forming opinions versus needing them to be true. Because at the end of the day, we never have all of the facts. And the fun thing about this gift is that you just get to constantly be learning more and more things and remaining open. And this is especially true for you with your undefined ajna. Gate 52 is located in your defined root center, which we know is associated with pressure. So this is a gate that will be acted upon when the right timing and pressure is there. It's worth noting that this gate is unconscious, meaning it may not feel as known to you as the two other gates that we've spoken about. But let me know how you feel about this and if it resonates. So gate 52 is the gate of stillness, or sitting still to get results. And essentially, you're someone with a calm and grounded energy and can get so much clarity and stillness. You're not meant to be rushing around and filling your life and mind with clutter. You're meant to sit in concentration, focus on your goal, hold your gaze, and have the ability to do so for long periods of time. And instead of running around without direction, you're meant to sit still until you feel that energy and pressure naturally arise within you, and then you move with intention. Because your root is defined, this should help you in harnessing the power of this energy, because you'll have this innate knowing of when it's time to go. I am curious how this feels for you, and if you notice it in your life, especially as an MG, because you do have the ability to move so quickly. So I wonder what it feels like when this gate comes online. Finally, gate 58 is also located in your defined root. It's also part of the channel, your 1858 channel. So it's a very potent energy. And similar to the gate that we just spoke about, gate 52, it's also an unconscious gate. So I am curious to hear if it's an energy that you resonate with, especially because it's part of your channel. Just need some water. So gate 58 is known as the gate of vitality, or transforming dullness into joy. And it's all about having a zest for life and the pursuit of joy. You have this desire to make life so wonderful. When you tap into this, you exude joy and vitality, and it's felt by everybody around you. And I think this pairs so beautifully with your MG energy. You have this drive to keep striving for aliveness, and this is what ensures you keep striving for better and better. You'll naturally go through cycles of feeling that joy and feeling life is wonderful, and then you're going to feel dissatisfied. And where and when you feel that dissatisfaction, it's just a cue from the universe that this is where you need to look next for your next up level. It's the area to next be transformed. And so, Ayla, just give mommy a sec, please. And so it's important to strike a balance between these two, knowing that both of these are parts of you and both are necessary. So we're not trying to just cling to the joy, avoid this dissatisfaction. We're not going to label the dissatisfaction as bad because it's so necessary. It's part of the beauty of this gift. And relying on your strategy and authority will always guide you to know when is the correct time to get started on your next upgrade. And until then, enjoy life where you are. And so when we put this all together, the right angle cross of service. So you have natural gifts that allow you to uniquely see what needs to be corrected or changed in order to improve it for the benefit of everyone. With this gift comes the question, how do I go about doing this? So we want to ensure when we're communicating these things that we see, that it's done so in a compassionate way with the best of intentions. It's not about being judgmental and pointing out people's flaws for the sake of it, but truly coming at it from a place of love and understanding. People will feel the difference in approach and will respond accordingly. You have the gift of being able to see everyone equally, so tap into this. The more you're able to lean into the goodness of this gift and away from any judgment towards any one flaw, the better you will be at helping transform these very things you see so clearly and help everyone as a whole. And when we pair this with your design, as an MG, you are equipped to master many things that interest you very quickly. And so you'll really be able to apply this gift to a variety of areas. As a 4/6, you know how important your community is, and you have this ability to really see people for who they are, to know at a deep level how worthy they are. And your community is going to feel this from you. You have this ability to help them pinpoint areas that could be tweaked to really propel them forward. So when we pair this with your 6 line, people naturally see you as a role model and someone who has something to teach them. By learning how to navigate judgment and lean into compassion and your high standards, you really can guide others as the regal authority you came here to be.
Oh, wow, Kristen.
Mm.
It's just so cool to witness someone else's profile, um, and just like your genius and your giftedness in this, truly, like your ajna and everything. So it's fun to have known and seen your chart and getting to know how you're reading. Um, and just witnessing the difference, it's like I could tell that I'm like just blown away because it's such a different feel to maybe the MGness or a different way that Lindsay and I like approach readings. And it doesn't make it um, like not anything that we have to change within ourselves, you know what I mean? But at the same
Mhm.
time, being able to like recognize the genius and greatness in you and the mastery, like, oh my gosh. I have a question. How, like, were you reading some of that? Because I couldn't tell if you were.
Yeah, so with this, I definitely took notes. I used three different textbooks, was my process to compile kind of to understand it. And then I cut it down and then I wrote these little snippets of, okay, this is the idea of it. Um, and I would imagine similar to learning the energy types, the more I talk about these things, the less I would need my notes. But yeah, I definitely did have stuff to help.
Amazing. Yeah, and when I first started, I definitely, how long did that take you, if you don't mind me asking?
This one specifically, I started it, I probably did an hour last night, just like the copying everything over. And then this morning, probably another hour. Um, Maybe a little less, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's actually not too bad, Kristen, honestly, preparing like that. And I think that that's going to really make you stand out. Having either permission, like when you are doing readings, like having permission to like record, maybe even just yourself, will be really huge to showcase that either on your website or on your IG. And these synopses, oh my goodness.
Mhm.
I love it because I'm in such an awe of like, I think the projector genius, the two, and then the ajna of like, here's an explanation of this and explicit. Like when I prepared, I didn't prepare it in like in that kind of detail. But just to see how somebody else would do it differently, it's just so beautiful to witness, you know? Um, and I noticed that you're starting to engage in like a conversation with somebody, which is awesome, you know, and just depending on like how much they want to give you in that like sort of exchange will potentially lead the way too. But I think one of your strengths is this um like really organized way of delivering the information, but at the same time, like synthesizing it all, like touching. And I know this was more primarily about the incarnation cross, but you did an incredible way of like shortening the like this is what this like you know we know that this is a pressure center like you know what I mean like I probably would have spent another 5 or 10 minutes on just like re-explaining that you know whereas for you it's like nope we're talking about this so but this is how it's relating to this is the unconscious this is the conscious um I think there's something to say that you can potentially offer these. I don't know how much it sounds like writing does really come easily to you. And once you have written some aspects of this, you could just copy and paste it. But something about maybe offering written.
Okay. Story.
No, you're fine. Either offering like written guides or even recordings, you know, like readings, of course, yes, but like I couldn't tell that you're reading, but I was like, that's like a next level genius if this is the first time, you know what I mean, that you're looking at these gates and you have them that memorized. So like, how is it just so flow? You know what I mean? But it was cool because I couldn't tell. And not that that would be bad if you could tell, but I could. Is it on your screen or is it on paper?
It's on my screen. So yeah, so some things I'm like reading and then others because I was spending the morning with it, I could actually just be looking at the camera and saying what I wanted to say.
And this was your the last prepared one.
Yeah.
I know Lindsay and I are like, but you know, the next level for you, Kristen, will be like after you've done enough of these, and there's certain themes with like the you get more comfortable with the gates, like you're gonna prepare less and less. like just jumping into readings. Uh,
Yeah, and I think for me too, one thing I've always struggled with my whole life, I want to get better at condensing. Because even with this, it was condensed a lot from my notes, of course, but I think I could still pull out the essence even a little bit, maybe a little bit. And that's my incarnation cross too. And I have the 2343, and I think gate 4 is my incarnation cross. And it's, yeah, so creating something simple from chaos and explaining it like very succinctly. So that's something I'm definitely trying to be aware of.
but that's just so cool to witness, you know? And there will be people that will come for you, like they will come to you for specifically that. And I think that with readings, yeah, I think delivering it, it's interesting too, because when the recommended readers for Jenna, we exchanged for each other, and I have not had anybody read the way that you read. It's just so cool to witness. But I don't think I had a projector read for me before. Um, so I think, yeah, and obviously we're all different. We have our own combination. So it's just really cool to
Mhm.
witness both of you, but then and highlight the strengths, and then like not have somebody else's strengths take away from our strengths and how we show up and the people that will come for us for those specific things. But yeah, that was awesome. Um, let's see. Waves of it of all time. How does it, and yeah, the how does it resonate, asking questions, starting to engage in that conversation. Awesome. um Reading preparation time, yeah, so then like the only other suggestion I would have, like when you do set up a Square account and you have
Mhm.
bookings, and giving yourself like however much, like whether it's 24 hours or 48 hours before they can book you,
Mhm.
so you
Mhm.
can give yourself enough time ahead of time. um Great explanation. Great explanation of the undefined ajna but conscious, um the conscious earth, that was just like awesome how that came out. And yeah, what, I'll be curious, you could give that to us in Telegram, but like what sources are you using? Because I could tell there
Um,
was some wording I was like, oh, I kind of like how that's
I
worded.
I did use Jenna's because I just think it's so approachable. I also looked at Karen Curry Parker. I also do have the definitive book of human design. I just have it as a PDF. So
Okay.
those were the three that I looked at. I pretty much wrote everything that they had, like, so I had it in front of me, so I'm not flipping through everything. And then from there, I went through and I highlighted, and I'm like, I think these are the main parts. And then that's how I went about it.
But it's incredible because you really put it into your own words, and you knew it well enough that it didn't seem like you were you know what I mean? Like it felt like your own words. It was awesome, like,
Thank you.
yeah.
And
Um,
I will say too, like, even hearing Lindsay though do it, like I was sitting here being like, oh no, like I think because Lindsay, you just go with the flow and it's just like you're pulling these things out. And then for me, so just as an example, because then I started kind of judging myself for my process and I'm like, oh, why can't you just pull these things out? Like, but my process is just so like this one way, and I would just feel so scattered. Like I wouldn't be able to just talk about things until I really knew them. And so I really admire that about the way that you deliver yours. And as you were doing it, I was sitting here being like, oh no. So, and then I said, okay, no, just go with it. It's fine. Like, but
we have our own way of shining in that way.
hmm
But it is interesting how that could bring up certain things, right? Like,
hmm
um, oh no, that person's doing it better. And it's actually no, like the way that where I'm at is sacred and perfect. And I think coming from a place of like that pureness and of service, I think it's everything. And I love that you have the book, Ra's book, because again, like I touched on it last time a little bit, and I'll probably end on that, but like how of an open system that, some people believe, but it's nice that like Ra was the transmitter, and he's like, here's the keynotes, here's the thing. So if you ever, it's nice to have that, like, not Bible, but like, he would hate if I said that, but like, you know what I mean? Like that um, resource to go to. But I do love how Jenna distills it too. But it's cool that you have Kristen. Um, yeah, because I liked how some of that wording was. But I love that you put it into your own words, and it's fun to hear your process. I'm more similar to Lindsay, where I have like notes everywhere. Even my folder with the notes that I bring, like if I used to need like something, I'm like shuffling through. I'm like, give me 1 second, because there's no hiding when you're doing in persons. But um, yeah, just really quickly though, Kristen, do you feel like, I guess maybe have your authority spin through it, but are you like starting to feel like you're ready for like readings, or would you want to start with like recordings or PDFs first? Like,
I think it'd be fun to do a mix just to
okay.
see. I did have done readings for my friends on Zoom. And I think really like the only way to do it is to continue doing it, and
Yeah,
that'll just strengthen my confidence. But I also think there could be something to it to maybe do um smaller where if people have just like a specific question they want answered, that can be like then a recording sent back. So it's not like a full reading, but then yeah, so maybe like a blend.
totally. Yeah, and I do that, but that doesn't really get used as often, but I don't promote it as much. But I think that if you were to like get these little snippets out there, I think your people would really recognize you as a projector in your genius with being able to like synthesize this stuff like this well. It's like, a 5 minute like explanation of the like, or 15 minute like full incarnate. You just want your incarnation cross, cool, because the purpose and other things are so big, because it's like I said, that could be your energy type. You could have purpose can live in so many other areas. So it's like, but maybe for your ajna it's easy to condense the theme, or for me it is more of like, well, that's not clear enough. Like I could go so many places in your chart to look at this.
Hmm.
um so interesting, so cool, awesome. But yeah, having a blind is that probably be really fun. That'll be really cool. Yeah. Do you have space to think about putting up that Square or whatever booking system? Have you decided a platform?
I haven't decided the platform, but yes, it's on my list to do. So yeah, I'll definitely I'm aiming to have it up before this container ends.
Amazing, cool, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no pressure. I know that you're also focusing on like posting authentically, which is awesome too. And your first to camera video. Whoop, whoop.
I do, I have it. I just need to condense it. So I
Yeah,
did it all in one shot.
perfect.
So anyways.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think in Instagram or CapCut, so I'm starting to play with CapCut even more, but AI will delete at least the empty spaces, which is phenomenal.
Oh, okay.
So that could be an initial cut for you. And then you could just condense, like take out the stuff that you've repeated. You know what I mean? Like it's actually really smart to have it all in one video. And then you're just cutting the stuff yeah, perfect. Awesome. Looking forward to it.
I'll let you know when it's up.
Yeah, let us know. And then really quickly, Lindsay, oh yeah, that's right. Never mind. You're in your just landing in your newness. Yeah, that's perfect. And I will be in Telegram. I'll respond to Alexandria, the stuff because it was amazing, both of you. So I have notes there, but then whenever you feel like it this week, then pop in the other incarnation crosses. So then it sounds like you both want more charts, like another chart maybe in Telegram, and then new charts for the next practice. Okay, perfect.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. And we'll keep doing it that way. Awesome. So we'll see each other in Telegram.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Thank you. And
Bye.
congrats for both of you. Bye.